I'll say we now light the Advent candle. Let's do the red one.
Yeah.
And then I'll say we now light the Advent candle.
So what I was really sing it from the chapter. Okay. So this is going to be part of the
Good morning, everyone. Welcome, one and all, to First Parish in Brookline, a Unitarian Universalist congregation. Wherever you are in your faith journey, however you identify, you are welcome here. We especially welcome anyone who is here today for the first time. My name is Lisa Underhill. My pronouns are she, her, and I will be your worship associate today. Our service will be led by our interim minister, the Reverend Joe Cherry. Our theme this month is gratitude, and I am so grateful to be here with all of you on this gray, chilly, early winter morning. After the service, we hope you will join us for coffee, snacks, and conversation. Just follow the crowd out this door over here and down the hall. And we have a couple of announcements. The worship committee invites you to get involved in planning our solstice-themed service on December 21st. Do you have memories of solstice celebrations past and ideas to share? Or are you newer and pagan curious? Please join Alyssa Connor and Reverend Joe in shaping a service to reflect on the longest night and returning light. Feel free to seek out me or anyone else on the worship committee, Carla Bear, Landon Rose, Elizabeth, at our social hour, and we will connect you. A couple other announcements, which are also in your little flyer. There is a cookie party next Saturday. Bake and decorate cookies with Reverend Joe and Kay. And there's also our First Friday dinner this Friday on the 5th. I think we have, Deba, did you want to make an announcement?
I'm going to whisper. No. Just wanted to let you know that the theme for our First Friday community dinner is music. And we have a lot of it and a lot of new faces. And just to let you know that Fred is making lasagna to go along with your salads and desserts and drinks. So 6 to 8. It should be pretty different, very exciting. We hope that you're entertained. And yeah, good. Okay, see you there.
Are there any other announcements? All right, now we deepen into worship.
Okay, not to point anyone out, but the reason we use the microphone is not only for those with the hearing things here, but I've watched our services at home to check us out, and if you don't use this, people at home can't hear anything. So even though many of us are teachers and yell loud, it doesn't help over the internet. So I want to encourage us to continue to remember to use the mic. Thank you. I want to call you into worship together with these words. As the long nights gather around us once again, we remember that human beings everywhere and always have told stories about the sun, stories of its waning and its return, stories that helped us name the truth that as the dark grows long, so does our longing for warmth, for safety, for one another. Across continents and centuries, people met this ancient ache with different rituals, different music, different mythologies, each one trying to say something true about hope in the long night. The human response to Winter's Night is universal. The expressions are gloriously varied. Here, in our Festival of Lights, we honor them each equally. We honor them the many ways human beings have sought light, made light, and shared light. And we honor the truth that whatever tradition shaped us, we all gather this morning with the same ancient instinct, to gather to kindle something bright when the world grows dim. Today, we begin our Festival of Lights. Please come together to sing hymn number 238, Within the Shining of a Star, either in your great hymnal or on the wall.
And now I'd like to invite Michaela Cody to come and light our chalice with Peter. As we say our unison affirmation, first in Spanish, then in English. Comprometemos a caminar juntos como congregación, prometiendo con mucha fe cuidarnos mutuamente y editarnos en el amor que permanecerá entre nosotros. We give ourselves one unto another, covenanting to walk together as a congregation, promising faithfully to watch over one another and to delight for love to abide in our midst.
I want to invite Ralph and Agnes up to join me in doing our Festival of Lights. As the season begins and the nights stretch long around us, we gather to remember that hope begins quietly, not with trumpets, not with certainty, but with a single flame daring to rise against the dark. Hope is the courage to take one step when we do not yet see the path. Hope is the warmth we feel when we remember we are not alone. Today, we light the first candle of Advent, hope, trusting that even the smallest flame can shift the shape of the night. Beautiful. We honor the menorah unlit, waiting with our Jewish kindred for the festival soon to come. And this morning we turn to the pagan Yule wreath and light the candle of the north, the direction of earth, of stone and root, of ancestors and endurance. Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Agnes. Spirits of the North, keepers of winter's wisdom, teachers of patience and deep time, be with us now. Lend us your steadiness, lend us your quiet strength. Help us to remember the ground beneath our feet and the long lineage of lives that made our own possible. May this northern flame anchor us, steady us, and remind us that even in the coldest season, life endures.
As we contemplate these beautiful festive lights that dispel the darkness of early winter, take a moment to locate that life, that light that each of us holds within us. It's there, deep down, and sometimes it can be very hard to keep it burning. In the words of Albert Schweitzer, "At times our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us."
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. And Merry Christmas. We're crossing over. Now, I've been learning a lot about the history of Christmas. I have learned that Christmas is actually a fusion of a couple different religious traditions. We have the birthday of Jesus Christ, which is a Christian tradition. We also have the winter solstice, which is the darkest day of the year, a pagan tradition. And I've learned that a lot of what we think of when we think of Christmas came to us from Unitarians. Let me explain. So for a long time, Christmas was nothing like we know it now. It was filled with crazy parties. People would drink a lot of alcohol. They would break the law. Christmas was actually against the law for a period of time here in Massachusetts because the Puritans thought it was unholy. But when we think of Christmas now, I think of Christmas trees, Santa Claus, peace and goodwill on earth, being with family. A lot of these ideas were brought to us in the 1800s by Unitarians who set out to create a holiday that was more gentle, that would welcome in families, where we could all be together and be with our loved ones. And they started writing music that expressed those Unitarian ideals. I'm going to start with the last song that we're going to sing together in worship today. It's called It Came Upon a Midnight Clear, and it's by Unitarian minister Reverend Edmund Sears. When we listen to this song, we're going to hear that Reverend Sears sees Christmas as a time of peace on earth, when war will end and we're all going to be in harmony. It was really important to Reverend Sears to promote peace on earth because he was not living in a peaceful time. He had just experienced war, the Mexican-American War, and he was very upset that he lived at a time when slavery was still legal in the United States. Now, I was really surprised to learn how many of the people who created our Christmas traditions were concerned with trying to end slavery in the United States. This is a theme that kept coming up in my research. My favorite Christmas song is "O Holy Night." Do we know "O Holy Night"? Yeah. Now, the history of this song is amazing. It is about the birth of Jesus, but it was written by a French atheist. The music was composed by a Jewish musician, and it was translated to English by a Unitarian minister, Reverend John Sullivan Dwight. And if you sing the whole song, you'll hear these words that he added. He added the words, "Chains shall he break, for the slave he is our brother, and in his name all oppression shall cease." Yeah. Even the first song that we sang today, "Over the River and Through the Woods," has connections to the history of fighting against slavery in this country. That song was written by an incredible Unitarian Universalist ancestor, Lydia Maria Child. Now, Lydia studied and taught at a Unitarian seminary. She also said that Universalism was where she got her ideas. So she's kind of like the first Unitarian Universalist. And I don't have time to tell you about all the amazing things that this woman did. She knew that women would never win the right to vote until people were freed from slavery. That was her belief. So she hid runaway slaves in her home. She was on the board of the American Anti-Slavery Society. She believed that everybody was intelligent, and she wrote a book about a Muslim enslaved man who taught other people the Quran to show that everybody was smart. She fought for indigenous rights, for indigenous people to have their land, and for intermarriage to be legal in the 1840s. This is incredible. And she wrote this song, Over the River and Through the Woods, which is not about any of that. It is about being together with family and the joy of coming together in the holidays, which is also a core part of her Unitarian Universalist belief, and what many people thought that this holiday that is coming up, Christmas, should be about. The tradition continues today. We heard the song Within the Shining of a Star, which was written by Betsy Jo Angebrandt in the 1990s, so about 100 years after all these other songs. And that song also carries our ideals. It talks about the value of each human child. So as we gather here today, I know some of us have very deep personal connections to the birth of Jesus Christ, and some of us don't. But we all share these Unitarian Universalist ideals about honoring the value and dignity in each person, about fighting for a just and peaceful world, and about the joy of spending time together. So today I invite you, as we go through the rest of our service, to listen to where these ideals show up and to think about what Christmas can mean for us as Unitarians. Thank you.
I would like to invite you to imagine something for me just for a minute. Close your eyes if you like, just for a second. Now, imagine leaving your home forever. Not because you want to, not because you're bored, but because the place you love has become unsafe to live in if you keep telling the truth. Now imagine you pack a small bag, say goodbye to everything familiar, and cross an ocean to start over, with nothing but your voice, your courage, and your hope. That was the beginning of the story of a man named Reverend Charles Follin. You can open your eyes now if you want. In his homeland, he was known as Karl Follin, born in Germany 200 years ago, a little more. When he was a young man, he believed very strongly that all people should be free, that kings should not rule by fear, that ordinary people should have a voice in how they were governed. That belief got him in big trouble. So much trouble that he had to flee his homeland to save his life. He crossed the Atlantic Ocean and came to America as a refugee, an exile, someone who had lost one home and then was in search of another. Now, here's something important about Charles Follin. He didn't just believe in freedom for himself, he believed in freedom for everyone. He became a teacher, a professor at Harvard University. He became a Unitarian minister. And most dangerously of all those things in those days, he became a radical abolitionist. Someone who said very plainly and loudly that slavery was wrong and must end immediately. That might sound obvious to us today, but in his time, that belief cost people their jobs, their safety, their friends, and sometimes their very lives. And it cost Charles Follin his job at Harvard. Harvard fired him for speaking out against slavery. Powerful people were uncomfortable with his courage, but he did not stop speaking. He did not stop preaching. He did not stop hoping. Now here's where the story turns gentle and a little bit magical. One winter in his home, Charles Follin brought out something that many Americans had never seen before, a decorated Christmas tree. He had grown up with this tradition in Germany. He placed candles on its branches and gathered children around it, including his own son, and let that soft light shine in the dark room. It was one of the first Christmas trees in America. So think about that for a moment. A man who had seen violence, a man who had lost his homeland, a man who had lost his job for doing what was right. And he still believed enough in joy and beauty to light candles on a tree for the children. Freedom and beauty lived in the same heart. A few years later, in June of 1836, Charles Follen traveled west to the very young city called Chicago. There was a brand new hotel called the Lake House, and there, using 2 chairs and a wooden board as an altar, he preached the very first Unitarian sermon in that city. The city never heard it before. That sermon helped give birth to the congregation we now know as the First Unitarian Society of Chicago. A long time after that, 175 years in fact, that same congregation ordained your minister into ministry. That's how long the light from one brave life can travel. Now, I need your help with something. I'm going to ask you a few questions, and I want you to answer quietly in your heart or out loud if you're feeling bold. Have you ever been afraid to speak up when something felt unfair? Have you ever felt different from the people around you? Have you ever needed to be brave when it would have been easier to stay quiet? So did Charles Follen. And still, he chose courage, he chose conscience, he chose to light what light he could. Near the end of his life, Charles Follen died in a terrible ship fire. He was only in his 40s. He never saw slavery's end. He never knew how far the Christmas tree would spread. He never imagined that a sermon in a small frontier town would echo into other centuries. When Charles died, he had been such a radical abolitionist that, listen carefully, no Unitarian minister in Boston could be found to preach at his funeral. Reverend Samuel May, another abolitionist and Unitarian, agreed to perform this sacred duty. Also, Samuel May was the uncle of Louisa May Alcott. Here's the truth of what Charles' life teaches us. You do not have to see the end of the journey for your light to matter. You only have to keep lighting it. Every time you stand up for someone being treated unfairly, every time you tell the truth when it costs you, every time you choose kindness in a hard moment, every time you bring a little beauty into a dark place, you are doing what Charles Follen did. You are adding light to the world. And the amazing thing about light is this: one small flame can travel farther than we ever expect. So today, as we light candles and trees and all the lights of the season, may we also remember the deeper light, the light of courage, of joy, and of hope. And may we carry it forward forever.
Now is the time for our offering. We invite you to contribute to the work of the church. If this is your first time, please feel free to let the plate pass you by. Sorry, could you hear me? Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Ralph Child. I'm a member of the board here. And even though my mom's name was Lydia Child, there is no connection. She married into the Childs. On behalf of Reverend Joe and the board, we accept these gifts as a sign of your trust, and we promise to operate the church in service of our shared values. Thank you very much.
Okay, hello again. Nathan, can we get that first picture up here? Amazing. Now I want to invite Lily. I have a question for you. Can you come up here and help me? What I'm wondering is, who do we think this is a picture of?
An artist?
An artist? Interesting. Why do we think it's an artist?
Because he looks very famous and he looks pretty arty.
He looks very famous, yeah. What if I told you that this was Santa Claus?
I would not recognize it.
Yeah, I don't recognize it either, but for a long time, this is the way that people saw Saint Nicholas, who would become Santa Claus. I see his beard a little bit. There's some red, maybe. But the first person to draw Santa Claus the way that we see him today was a man named Thomas Nast. And today we're going to look at some of the pictures that he drew and talk about what he was maybe trying to communicate to us about Christmas in these pictures. So, yeah, Agnes, come on. Awesome. And do we have Peter somewhere around? Beautiful, it's your time. Okay. So what we're looking at up there on the screen is the first time that Santa Claus was ever drawn the way that we see him today. Do you see, if we look at the picture up there on the screen, can any of you tell me, like, where is Santa in that picture?
He's like sitting down almost, like, or if you look like right under the American flag, he's right there.
Yeah, he's sitting there. Agnes, earlier you said this didn't really look like Santa. Why not?
Because he's wearing stars, but then I realized that that was black and white or kind of grayish. So it could have been from a long time ago, so it could change over time.
That's exactly right. Yeah, changes over time. So it says, "Welcome Santa Claus" in the back. This is the first time we see Santa as kind of an elf. We see his like long beard and his big shaggy coat. And what he's doing in this picture is he's visiting the Union troops during the Civil War. So Thomas Nast invented this image of Santa as a piece of Civil War propaganda to try to bring hope to people who were going through the war. Can we move on to the next picture? And Peter, this is your picture that you have. Can you tell us what you see here?
I saw like two different sides of Christmas Eve. Like one side is almost like the more cozy and like happy side with like Santa on the top with his reindeer, and then the other side is like war and like more not as happy.
Yeah, definitely. So we see, if you look all the way up in the corner, Agnes, do you see Santa? Up in the corner, climbing in the chimney. Yeah. Lily, do you see Santa in the corner? Yeah, with the reindeer. Climbing through the chimney. This is the first time we ever see Santa climbing down a chimney. And like Peter was telling us, one side is a family, and the other side we see wartime. This is also still the Civil War. And we see a family waiting for their father, their husband, to come home from the war.
And the Civil War started in Rome.
Ooh, interesting. I'm talking about the Civil War that was in America, which is a different Civil War. Yeah, thank you, Agnes. Yeah, can we look at the next picture? Awesome. So I'm wondering, Lily, what do you see in this picture?
Lots of circles and shapes like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things happening. What do you see in the circles and the shapes?
Well, in the middle, I see Santa Claus climbing on a chair.
Yeah, Santa Claus is climbing on a chair because he's coming down a chimney to bring presents to people. This is where we see his workshop. It's very industrial. He's making toys. And something interesting for this photo is we have some toys for good children and some things for naughty children. This reflected the Unitarian ideas about a little of a more gentle style of parenting at this time, because Santa rewards good children. We don't have like punishment, so we're still trying to create a holiday that's very friendly for families and for everyone. And then, Agnes, this was your photo. Can we look at the next one? Yeah, what can you tell us about this?
It is Santa Claus, but it doesn't really look like Santa Claus because it doesn't have the hat. He has like kind of a leaf hat with red berries.
Yeah, a leaf hat with red berries, and that plant is called mistletoe. This is one of the pagan traditions that was incorporated into Christmas, was the mistletoe. And this is where we really start to see Santa the way that we see him today. He has the big red belly, right, the beard. When I handed you this photo, Agnes, you were like, that's Santa Claus, right? Yeah. One thing I want to point out, what do you see on his back, Agnes?
I see a sack of toys.
We see a sack of toys, but it's actually an army backpack. So Santa's sack of toys started as an army backpack, again, to try to connect what was going on in the Civil War with Unitarian values about family and hope that were represented by Santa Claus. Beautiful. Now, there are many, many people who tell this story and claim that Thomas Nast was a Unitarian. I thought this for a long time. But it's actually not true. There's actually no evidence of that. We think he was an Anglican. So what I want to leave you with is, I wonder why so many people want to claim Thomas Nast and this picture of Santa Claus for our tradition, for the Unitarians. And I think about how our tradition draws from many different sources of wisdom. And I wonder if it matters whether Thomas Nast was Unitarian or not, if we feel that he shares our ideals about the world we want to see. Anything else to add, Lily?
Not really.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
He has toys in his hand, so that's how I can tell it's Santa Claus.
There we go.
I need a red coat.
Okay, so now you're in for because I'm in the big pulpit. I'm kidding. Each year on Christmas Eve, churches across the world return to a familiar ground, the ancient stories of the Christian Gospels. Angels, shepherds, star, stable. These stories are beautiful, sacred to many, and deeply woven into the history of Western religion and culture. Yet this year, in this explicitly Unitarian Universalist congregation, we are choosing a different central text for the night, A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. This is not a rejection of tradition so much as it is a reclaiming of identity. Throughout this church year, we've been working intentionally on who we are as Unitarian Universalists, on our distinct theological voice, our values, and our outsized influence on American culture, despite our relatively small numbers. My role this season as your interim minister is not to simply maintain what has always been, but to help us see ourselves clearly, even when that requires moving things around, a few things around with care. Dickens gives us an opportunity to do just that. For many in our wider culture, A Christmas Carol already functions as a kind of gospel. Its phrases live in our language, its images live in our imaginations, its moral arc lives in our shared assumptions about what Christmas is meant to be about: generosity, repentance, responsibility, and joy made visible through action. Long after the doctrinal certainty has faded for many, this story remains powerful, and that alone invites theological curiosity. What is often less known is that Dickens himself was deeply formed by liberal Christianity and Unitarian theology. Though never a formal member of a congregation in the modern sense, he was shaped by the preaching and religious thought of London's Little Portland Street Chapel under the influence of the Reverend James Martineau. Dickens rejected doctrines of inherited sin, supernatural salvation, and redemption secured through another's suffering. Instead, he believed, like Unitarians then and now, in moral awakening, human responsibility, ethical transformation, and grace revealed through relationship. In other words, Dickens tells a very Unitarian story. Choosing A Christmas Carol allows us to tell the Christmas story in a way that is honest to who we are. It allows us to speak of redemption without requiring people to assent to supernatural claims they may not hold. It allows us to affirm transformation without appealing to ideas of original sin. It places ethical action at the center, not belief alone. It proclaims that change is possible, not through divine intervention from outside human life, but through human courage, human accountability, and human grace. This also honors the reality of our congregation. I'm guessing that less than 10% of us still identify as Christian in the traditional sense. Yes, there are people among us who are. We are a community shaped by Jewish heritage, pagan earth-honoring paths, humanist ethics, and the wide family of spiritually curious people. Many of us carry tenderness, nostalgia, or even pain connected to Christian language. By choosing Dickens, we are not diminishing Christmas, we are expanding its hospitality. We are making room at the table for every kind of believer, every kind of questioner, and every kind of story. We are also acknowledging cultural truth. For countless people, Dickens has done more to shape modern ideas of Christmas than any church bulletin or catechism ever could. The emphasis on compassion for the poor, the moral urgency of generosity, the idea of joy, demands justice. These are not solely church-taught values anymore. They are Dickens-taught values, passed through story, stage, and song. This year, when we gather not around a manger, but around a transformation, we gather around a cold man learning warmth, a closed heart learning openness, a solitary life learning to belong. We gather around a story that insists people can change and that such change matters not just privately, but publicly and relationally. On Christmas Eve, we will sing familiar carols. We will hear a familiar story, just told through a UU lens, perhaps we have always carried without naming. And in doing so, we will not be stepping away from Christmas. We'll be stepping fully into it, as the people we truly are. Now, as a side note to this history, to show you how history can be so interconnected, Charles Dickens was greatly influenced by the Reverend James Martineau. Reverend Charles Follen, who I spoke about earlier, was in Chicago in 1836 to help restore his health, traveling with his wife Elizabeth Cabot Follen and her best friend Harriet Martineau, sister of James. We are all connected, even when most of us are not famous. I hope that when Christmas Eve comes, you'll come and bring friends to sing, to do the silent night with the candles, to be together, and maybe a different lens. Let's sing together. It came upon the midnight clear, number 244 in the gray hymnal or up on the wall.
As Reverend Joe extinguishes the chalice and our Advent Hope calendar, Advent Hope candle, and our Northern candle, please join with me in our unison affirmation, first in Spanish and then in English. Apagamos esta llama, pero no la luz de la verdad, ni el calor de la comunidad, ni el fuego del compromiso. Estos los llevamos con nosotros y los ofrecemos para bendecir al mundo. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry with us and offer as gifts unto the world.
As this busy season ramps up and up and up, and there's more to do, I want to remind you to take a deep breath now and again. To sit somewhere quietly, even if that's in your car, and take care of yourself just a little bit as you think about all the ways you care for the world. If you don't take care of yourself, you're running out of gas. So take care of you.